Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
You know what time it is, so sit back and get ready for the Stafford Voice, your dose of conservative in a world of liberal.
3, 2, 1.
Good day to ya. I hope you are doing fantastic. Me, myself, and I, yes, me, myself, and I'm having a pretty darn good day. Right about now, I normally have a splitting headache. I don't know why. I'm cursed on Mondays. Every Monday it seems like I'm cursed with a headache. And I don't have one. This is amazing. I'm your host, Daniel Stafford, and yes, you are listening to The Stafford Voice, where we are conservative in a world of liberal. And tonight, oh my goodness, we've got one heck of a lineup for you. I'm gonna throw some Ronald Reagan stuff at you, and it kind of ties in with a praying football coach. A little bit about some new debate rules, I guess, that the candidates are talking about. By the way, words matter too, and that's with a T-O-O. Also, does your cat want to kill you? We've got campaign roundup. We've got a great on this day in history. I could not stop reading about this one today. I put hours into it. I just could not stop reading about this. This was absolutely fascinating. Also, somebody out there was a little stuck on stupid, and, well, it just goes to show that money can't buy you brains, but it can pretty much buy you anything else they want. So, you know what? Let's get started. And as we do, I want you to know there are many ways to listen. So go ahead, set this channel as a favorite, whatever you have to do, so you don't get left behind. Because if for some strange, crazy reason you do miss this show, you know what? You'll be able to catch the replay. I'm not going to send the troops out. I mean, even though they want to come out and get you, because it's just in our blood. I mean, we want to come out and get you. We want to waterboard you, stick some earbuds in your ear, and just force you to listen to show after show after show. We're not going to do that. So just sit tight. There's no need to panic because, hey, I've got you. And in the case you aren't already following on social media, find me over on the Twitters at Stafford Voice. Look me up on Facebook. All you got to do, just search for The Stafford Voice, and you will find yours truly. Also, while you're out there in the interwebs, please follow some good friends of mine. We like to call ourselves the Politainment Group. A little bit of politics and a lot of bit of entertainment. You know, I like to say that this is the good, the bad, and the ugly of talk radio. Anyway, Artist Angie and Pointless Poll, with Real Serious Nonsense on Monday nights. Great show. Unfortunately, they weren't on tonight. I'm super bummed about that because I needed to get some good laughs in tonight. I am pumped. Also, speaking of being pumped, you guys need to set some time out this Wednesday to hear According to Me and Bunny with Jason DeWilkins and Sam, a.k.a. Politabunny. I don't even know what they have lined up for this week, but I can tell you it is going to be fantastic, and I know that I don't normally talk about sports, but it's probably going to be better than the World Series. And while you're out there, you know, look, over the weekend we picked up another affiliate, and I've got so much love for those guys over there that picked us up over the weekend. So please be sure to go out and give some love to the station and our affiliates. Stay up to date with everything going on out in the world. Okay, well, not everything, but some of the stories that will matter to you that you may have missed over at politainment.net and thestaffordvoice.com. Also, please make sure you sign up for my newsletter. We're going to be ramping some stuff up going into 2016. I've got something really exciting that I'm hoping to put out for 2016. And if you're not an email subscriber, you need to be, because I'm going to bounce some ideas off of you and hopefully put together something really fun. Also, while you're over there, please take a few seconds to fill out a short survey. It's 5 questions in less than 5 minutes of your time. And it's going to kind of give me a good idea of what you like, what you hate about the show. As we get started, I want to remind you that this show is listener-funded and supported. And one of the ways that you guys do that by helping the show is, as you're over on the Politainment site or the StaffordVoice.com, you'll notice only 1 or 2 ads. It's an Amazon ad. That's it. You're already there getting caught up on the daily news of what's happening, and you realized you needed to pick something up off Amazon. You're already there. Click the Amazon banner. Yes, a small, minute amount of your purchase will go to help fund the show and help support what we do here. And for that, I am deeply, deeply humbled. So I want to go ahead and get started with what we've got coming tonight, because if you've followed me on Facebook, if you follow me on Facebook, you'll notice that I'm trying to put out a couple of notes here and there about some of the things I'm studying. I'm doing for scripture study. I do read out of the Bible every morning, and sometimes it's just some good stuff that I want to share with you. This morning I started out of Corinthians. I didn't get a chance to post some of my thoughts on it, because this speech from Ronald Reagan has been on my mind all day. And actually, as I was driving home today, it hit me. This is what I really wanted to talk about, and this is how I wanted to start the show. And I apologize for this being a long quote, but it's from Ronald Reagan, and it really drives home a point. And that is, we're at a new time for choosing. And this quote comes from that speech. And he said, and I'm quoting from his speech, A Time for Choosing. It's that's one of the titles for it. The other one was, they call it The Speech. And this was back in October 27th of 1964. He said, quote, "We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said, if we lose that war, and in so doing, lose this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening. Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government, or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them for ourselves. You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. We'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There is only an up or down. Man's old age dream, the ultimate and individual freedom consistent with law and order, or down to the ant-heap of totalitarianism. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness. Even speaking those words, I still get goosebumps. Still get goosebumps. I love those words, and ladies and gentlemen, please go out and reread that speech. It is fantastic, and there is a wealth of knowledge in there that will inspire you. And speaking of being inspired, there was a high school football coach who, after the game, after those kids would go out there on the field and play, when the parents were clearing the stadium and he had time, he would go out there on the 50-yard line at the end of every game, and you know what? He would pray. They've suspended him. They suspended a football coach for praying on his own time in the middle of a football field. I don't know about you, but when somebody says, stop praying in public, that tells me I need to do it more. I am committing right now that I am going to be praying in public more often than, and in the hopes that I can inspire and awaken somebody else around me. Because yes, this is the last best hope for man on earth. It's not a choice about left or right. It is exactly what Reagan said. It's either up or down. Do we believe in our capacity for self-government, which would be conservative, or do we abandon the American Revolution and confess all of that and say that somebody over in Washington can do better for us than we can do for ourselves? Liberals. It is completely mind-baffling that we are silencing someone for praying in public. My question would be, if that person was a Muslim and they went out there and prayed in the middle of that football field, would we silence them or would we praise them? If it was prayer time in the middle of Denny's and they're sitting there eating and their alarm clock goes off and says it's time for prayer, are they going to roll out the carpet and pray and be praised for what they're doing because oh, this is so great? Or are we going to ask them to leave? At what point does enough become enough? It's time to take a stand. Do not let these people hold you back from doing what you want to do. If you want to go out and pray, pray. You have that opportunity. In other countries, they'll cut your head off for doing that. But here in America, things are different. We have freedom. No other place on earth has the freedom and liberty that we have here in America. This country is beautiful. And what makes it that way is the people. Don't let people take that away from you because they get offended. They probably do things that offend you. Does that mean you need to silence them? No, probably not. Maybe they need to take a good look at themselves before they start pointing the finger at you. And speaking of which, pointing the fingers at people. I don't know about you. We saw that. We saw the debate, and this kind of rolls into where we're going with this next segment. I'm going to play for you this week's campaign roundup, which is, the best of the best that was said during the week, and I'm not going to throw a bunch of the stuff from the debate at you. There was still plenty of that was said outside of the debate and afterwards. But in order to be able to make a stand and know what's getting ready to happen, whether you go back to what Reagan was saying, whether you are choosing to move up or down, whether you're choosing freedom or choosing totalitarianism, where the government thinks they knows better for you than you know for yourself, you've got to be educated. So that's what Campaign Roundup is. It's the best of the best from the candidates, and we've condensed it down into a small, digestible, something small and digestible that you can get a better sense of what the candidates are saying. So this week's Campaign Roundup.
The American people don't trust the media.
I always say I'll be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. I will. But everybody knows that. But you know what I'll be? I'll be great at the military. I'll be so good. And I'll know when. And I'll build our military so strong, so tough, so incredible. Nobody's going to mess around. We're never going to have to use it.
I have tremendous admiration. You're never going to hear me badmouth him. He was a great governor of Florida. He's someone I have tremendous personal affection for. My issue's not with Jeb Bush. I'm running for president because I honestly believe that our party and our country needs to turn the page.
I think what you'll see is that I will rise first in places like Iowa and New Hampshire. We have a great organization, the super PAC that's affiliated with our campaign, and I'm running with heart.
There is nothing more threatening to the liberal media in general and to Hillary Clinton in particular than a conservative woman. So of course there's a double standard. It will not stop me. It will not scare me.
Could you imagine a debate moderated by Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh and Mark Levin? Now you want to talk about a debate, number one, that millions of people would watch. And listen, we're not talking about we want moderators to be pussycats. None of those three have ever been accused of being pussycats. If you get some nonsense answer, you can already see the great one going, no, that's not right. And how do you square it with the Constitution?
That's true. We've got to be able to look at the Constitution as a guide. And you know what? One of the other things that I do as a guide is, most every day I feel like I've been knocked down. And since I'm knocked down, I'm already on my knees. So I pray and ask for a hand from the good, from him, from God. I love taking the most inopportune time out and talking with him. It's usually when you get the best information back to you. But speaking of information, we got to stay on topic tonight. These new debate rules. Okay, so last week's debate, CNBC, the Communist Network Broadcasting Center, thought that they were going to try and get the best of us. And I say us because that's what they were doing. They weren't getting the best of the candidates. They were getting the best of the Americans, of those who were actually listening and paying attention. The gotcha questions weren't for the candidates. It was for those who were tuned in. It was for you and I. So plenty of the the candidates got a little upset, didn't like how everything was being moderated, and they got together over the weekend, and they put together a list of proposed changes, what they'd like to see for some new debate rules. Here's a couple of the things that they wanted, that they're asking for. That get at least 30 seconds for an opening and closing statement. I don't know about you, but I personally would not be able to get too much substance out of most of those candidates in 30 seconds. It takes Donald Trump 30 minutes to quit talking about himself long enough to say something about himself. Here's another one. Candidates pre-approve graphics and bios that will be used on air. How is this any different than the damn Democrats? The Democrats want to control everything. Seriously, why are these candidates wanting to go out there and put out pre-approved graphics and bios that they'll use? You know what? If you're not doing anything stupid, nothing's going to go wrong. Oh, how about this one? No lightning rounds because of their frivolous or gotcha nature. Yeah, you know what? I want to see how you act under pressure. Not the kind of pressure where Hillary Clinton is getting off of an airplane being shot at with sniper fire. Not that kind of pressure. I'm talking lightning round questions. What about this? What about that? What about this? Boom, boom, boom. Just one candidate, start throwing out questions. You got like 5 seconds to answer it. And they're going to be completely all over the map. Not 10 questions about the economy for Trump, or what's going on about gun control in New Jersey with Krispy Kreme. I want lightning round questions. Maybe we need a full debate like that, where you put one guy up there for 20 minutes and you grill the crap out of him. Oh, but we need to worry about, this was another one of theirs, audience size and debate length. We need to be worried about how big the audience is. We need to be worried about how long the debate is. You know what? Maybe if we have an 8-hour debate with 15 flippin' candidates up there, we might actually get to some substance. Instead of worrying about, fantasy football, as they're talking about in the chat room. Nobody cares about their stance on fantasy football. I don't give a crap. I want to know how you're going to implement a flat tax. I want to know what you're going to do in the Middle East. How are you going to go forward in Syria? What are you going to do to slow down Putin? What are you going to do to shut down Iran? I want to know. I don't give a crap about fantasy football. Oh my God, please. Oh, but we need to be nice, and we need to, quote, ask the candidates to raise their hands to answer a question. What the hell is this? Is this kindergarten? Oh, but we need to allow candidate-to-candidate questioning. Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's go back to something like the Lincoln-Douglas debates, where it was one flipping candidate over here and another one over there, and the two of them stood there and they talked like, oh my goodness. Can you imagine if you put Donald Trump in a head-on debate with someone as intelligent like Ted Cruz? Just one-on-one. A 3-hour debate, no moderator, and they just debated each other. I think we would finally figure out who the real trumpet is. These are grown men and women. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Let's have Let's have Ben Carson stand up there for 5 hours and debate Carly Fiorina. That'd be a good debate. But they have to raise their hands. Don't worry about whether they're grown adults. We don't need to worry about that. Nope. What we need to worry about is we need to have reaction shots of members from the audience or the moderators during the debates. Because, oh yes, when somebody says something completely stupid or completely wrong and they have no idea what the hell they're talking about, we need to see what the audience looks like. We need to see what the moderators look like. Oh, but then again, what if we go to a break? Can we leave the microphone on? Yeah, because when we go to a flippin' commercial break, yeah, we'll be able to hear what they have to say. Said nobody. You know what? If you're going to have a debate that lasts 2 hours, 5 hours, or 8 hours, no matter what, no damn commercials. That's it. No commercial breaks. Just go. At least 1 or 2 of those guys on that stage would be able to stand there for 8 to 12 hours and talk. Okay, 3. I forgot about the trumpet because he can bloviate for about 5 hours talking about how great he is. But here's what this is the best request right here. We need to make sure that the temperature in the venue is below 67 degrees. Oh. That's it right there. That's the one I'm for. Below 67 degrees. If it's 68 degrees, I'm sweating my arse off. By the time that's over, I'm going to have drank more water than Marco Rubio in the last 5 years. I will sweat my arse off at 68 degrees. But at 67 or 66, completely comfortable and I can handle anything. I got a cool head at 66. 68, nope. This is flipping ridiculous. Who is in charge of the RNC here? Kindergartners? Oh, yeah, Priebus. Yeah, that's a great one. Oh. Why don't you go lick the backside of an angry dog? Oh, anyway, you know what? We're up to a break, and I apologize for the length of the break, but I've got to get something to drink. My throat's getting pretty dry. When we come back, we're going to talk about words matter too, okay? Seriously. TOO, words matter. Yeah, that's one that you can file in the WTF folder. We'll be right back.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
There's a wild, wild whisper blowing in the wind, calling out my name.
Whether you're an employee or business owner, when it comes to the correct course of legal action, it's the first step that is important. And make that first step with attorney Ted Hong. You need someone you can trust and has the experience you need when it comes to workplace and employment law. If you've lost your employment due to discrimination, false accusations, or being denied benefits, you need Ted Hong. Or if you're an employer who wants to ensure compliance with workplace regulations and labor contracts, you need Ted Hong. Ted and his team also cover family and property law and estate litigation as well. Ted has over 30 years of experience, and him and his amazing legal team will provide you cost-effective legal consultation and make the experience all about you and your needs. For more information or to set up a consultation, contact the law office of Ted Hong at 808-933-1919 or visit tedhonglaw.com. Ted Hong, an experienced and principled attorney you can trust. 808-933-1919 or tedhonglaw.com.
I don't know about you, but I'm not the type of guy that jumps into anything without first doing my research. And when I was looking for a holster, I'll admit I was having one heck of a time. You know what I'm talking about here. You find one you like, you try it on, it would be clunky. Another one fits good, but costs way too much. So you try on one last holster, it was slim, lightweight, priced right, but lo and behold, you slide your pistol in, and it falls right out. So what do? You've tried all these mass market holsters. Well, go custom. I know what you're thinking. I thought it too. Too pricey. Wrong. My guy over at Rebel Road Tactical will not only put together the perfect fitting, hand-molded, hand-assembled, custom Kydex holster, but you'll get it at an affordable price. Don't wait. Contact Rebel Road Tactical today at 682-217-4579. Again, that's 682-217-4579. Place your order.
It's the dramatic reinvention of talk radio.
Here come the Spy Dolphins.
The only thing that can cure racism is Robert E. Lee's penis.
Who named this cat Limberbutt McCubbin? A Trump-Biden debate.
Plugs versus rugs. Real serious nonsense. The show's so bad, you'll laugh at us.
The worst podcast. We obviously hold that title.
Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Call now.
913-440-4889.
All right, we're back. Wow, that was a quick break. Quicker than I had expected. But you know what? Words matter. You're tuned into the Stafford Voice. I'm your host, Daniel Stafford. Words matter too, okay? Yes, I teased you a little bit. Yes, this one goes into the WTF folder for the night. This comes from, yes, unfortunately, it comes from a Huffington Post article. Blah, blah. Oh, in reference to Hillary Clinton. Anyway, this was something that was posted on the Huffington Post blog portion from some freakazoid named Cameron Schaefer. Anyway, she had this epiphany. I want to read to you what she said. These are her words. I'm not changing anything. This actually, we would have done this one as our Who Said That segment, because nobody would have got it, but there's plenty of Holly weirdos that would have said something like this. And I know, I'm sorry if you're about ready to throw up right now, because I'm getting ready to read to you something off Huffington Post. Okay, so quote, "The seasons have just changed, and I always want something new. Recently, I was looking in the mirror after a shower. I decided I wanted change. I have a very love-hate relationship with my hair. I love its uniqueness. It seems signature to me. But I'm never really satisfied. Frustrated, I decided to text my friend. After a quick exchange of opinions about my hair, our conversation ended with, quote, 'Well, you don't want it to be too short or too long.' What she said was harmless, but it still caused an epiphany. There's no proper way for a woman to cut her hair, let alone do anything right in this world. There seems to be an unobtainable 1 millimeter wide mark of perfection, and none of us can reach it. Everything is to this or to that. We see it every day in the tabloids. For example, one day a female celebrity is too revealing, and the next day she's too matronly. In my experience, I rarely hear too thrown around about men. You hear someone say, 'He's short,' but you seldom hear 'too short.' I hear women and men alike each day describing women as too something. But what does it really mean when you call a woman too? I ask myself, too what? I've determined that too means you're calling a woman too far away from your idyllic vision of what a woman should be. Something as small as calling a woman's dress too long or her muscles too built has a much larger social construct. Blah! You flippin' idiot. This whole stupid article is nothing more than this freakazoid who looked in the mirror and decided she could not figure out whether her hair was too short or too damn long. Holy crap! Give me 20 minutes, I'll go cut my flippin' hair. I've cut my hair for the last 16 years. It's never been too short or too long. It's flippin' perfect. Give me 20 minutes and my clippers, I will construct a masterpiece that I will call a haircut. I'm happy with it. I think it looks pretty damn good. This is what's wrong with people. Now, we're insulting women if we use the word too. T-O-O. What the flip is wrong with this world? Oh my flippin' world. Seriously. Is she too smart for herself or is she too dumb for the world? You decide, ladies and gentlemen. You decide. I'm sorry, but this Cameron Schaefer is an idiot. I'm convinced. Look, this is a female version of Donald Trump. Just so stuck on herself. Whether she's wearing a dress that's too short or too long, or she works out too much or too little, or she ate too much vegan crap. So here's how she ends this 1,800-word post. I'd like to conclude this rightfully indignant rant by taking personal responsibility. She must have one of those thesaurus plugins on WordPress or something, or Blogger, that tells you which word to use for a small 4th grade word. A whole lot of sexism is in how men treat women, but there's another facet to misogyny. Internalized sexism. Internalized sexism happens when women themselves mistreat other women based on their gender. Oh, my good word. Now women can't hurt each other's feelings because now you're being misogynistic. Oh, good heavens. Even as a devout feminist. Oh, whoa, we got a little bit of thought right there. She's finally figured out something about herself. I mean, she's a good devout feminist. She'll tell you that, but she's a good devout feminist. Even as a devout feminist, I have personally described women in harsh ways that I'd never apply to a man. I have used the word too in an insensitive way when describing or analyzing a woman. But after teaching myself this lesson, I am taking a vow to ban the word too from my vocabulary. I encourage others to take a look at themselves on the spectrum of injustice. We are all a part of it, and it is important to make a personal change, if that's not too much to ask. Oh, God bless America! Oh. Next thing you know, she's probably going to wind up with a show on PMSNBC, or she's going to wind up as the 19th host on The View. She probably is on her 4th psychiatrist and 7th psychologist, and each one of them has their own #1 bestseller on the New York Times list. Oh, you know what? This just goes to show that this right here shows how ignorant some in society have become. It is, I am literally scratching my head at this. I don't want to call her a woman because I don't want to be sexist. I don't want to be construed as being misogynistic, but at this person, I am literally scratching my head at the ignorance of this person. I don't want to call her a woman. I don't want to call her a lady. Hell, you never know. She could probably kick. Yeah, never mind. You know what? let's talk about something a little more funny. Now, this one, I'm reaching for this one because I'm putting this story out there for a couple of friends of mine. And this story, I know, is something that Real Serious Nonsense would cover. So I'm going to cover it for them because I've got a cat. You may or may not have heard her before on the show. Because we leave the door to the studio here open and just let the cat run in and out. But I want to ask you a question. Does your cat want to kill you? Because apparently, researchers now claim they have evidence that domestic cats are more neurotic and controlling than we might think. What? Okay, so they compared the person... Listen, people in science, they're either smart or completely ignorant. This proves completely ignorant. So they compared the They compared personalities of domestic cats with big cats in captivity. And it showed that domestic cats have very similar personalities to lions, with their strongest traits being dominance and impulsivity and neuroticism. Okay, so this study, how many cats did they study? Is like 100 domestic cats, but they only studied cats from shelters. They mapped their behavior based on human personality traits. Now, if you're in the chat room, chill out for just a second. No, Angie does not love cats. She absolutely hates cats. She despises them. I don't mind them. I happen to love my cat. And actually, I was worried about her the other day because she's got this weird, gnarly tooth that if you bump it, she goes, "Ow!" She winces in pain. I can't quite figure out exactly how to help her. My cat's like 16 years old. Absolutely love her. She makes me laugh all the time. She has a lot of personality. She will look at you like, what the hell is wrong with you? Every morning when the alarm goes off, she jumps out of bed, races you to the kitchen, and wants you to give her treats. Treats. That's how she starts her day off. Not no, hi, how are you? It's, you imbecile, give me some treats. Okay, so yeah, maybe this article is right, because if I don't give her treats, she probably will want to kill me. She will look at you with that look. So okay, maybe this article is going somewhere. Anyway, so they mapped the behavior of these 100 domestic cats from shelters based on human personality traits. And this is the big 5 that they say. Openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion or introversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Okay, seriously, if I ask my cat, hey, are you open to experience? You know what I'm going to get? That was it. That's all you're going to get from a cat. Nothing. You may get a... That's it. Nothing more. You could look at your cat. Cat, do you agree with what I'm saying? And they're going to go... They can't answer you. So apparently neuroticism... the neuroticism trait of domestic cats was what they found to be the highest loadings on anxious, insecure, and tense, suspicious, and fearful of people. I'll admit, my cat doesn't like a lot of people. But after all, she's 16, and in cat years, that's like 5,000 years old. That's like 5,000 years old in cat years. Maybe my Common Core math is off a little bit. It's been years since I've had to work an abacus. But, look, again, these were cats in a shelter. They compared them to cats that were, to big cats that were held in captivity. You know what I'm talking about. The ones like you'd find in a zoo. This probably doesn't mean your cat wants to kill you or that it even hates you. Just don't put the darn thing in a stupid costume or dress them up like dolls. That's probably going to piss the cat off. Oh. Anyway, you know what? We're going to be up to this is our last break of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. And when we come back, I have got a super, super cool on this day in history. But before we go, I want to remind you guys to go out and check out our friends over at rwnjfunding.com. I can't say enough good things about this crowdfunding site. I know, another crowdfunding site. We got Kick Crap, or we got Just Star Me, whatever the hell they are. This is the crowdfunding site that you need to look to, because they uphold true conservative values, libertarian ideals, okay? They don't play to the PC game. They don't... Look, that's just not who they are. These guys are trustworthy. They reflect constitutional values. They're not going to cave in and cancel your campaign because somebody gets offended. They don't do that. They actually believe in you probably as much as you believe in yourself. So much so that they're willing to put up, get this, just a little of their own money where your mouth is. And for the first 10 signups, I think they've probably reached this by now, but the first 10 signups, you know what they did, who reached $100 in contributions? You know what they did? They put in $10 of their own money to help them succeed. It's not too good to be true. Head on over to our friends over at rwnjfunding.com. Again, that's rwnjfunding.com, and you can get started on your campaign today.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level, or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern for Game On. Remember,
lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of liberservative conservatism.
Where no one is safe and no one is spared, not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right round.
Ebola
Anyway.
radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com.
According to me and Bunny, this show's not big. It's huge!
Mr. Trump, what are your thoughts on how should we go about making sure we can protect innocent life in this country?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, you know, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
Donald, question right over here. What are you going to do as president in regards to Common Core? What actions are you going to take?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, you know, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
That is like he can say that for anything.
Yes! It's just insert issue.
A lot of things.
Donald, what are we going to do for lunch?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, you know, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
It's According to Me and Bunny, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on K98 Talk.
Conservative in a world of liberal.
The Stafford Voice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Yeah, that cat story was a little fun. My cat's kind of giving me dirty looks right now as she rolls around here in the studio. I don't know if she's wanting to kill me or just lay there and purr and hope that I give her some treats. Anyway, on this day in history, at the start of the show, I told you how fun it was to look into this. I actually spent hours today looking into this because the farther I got into it, the cooler this story was. Okay, so, excuse me, I don't know if I've told you, but during the breaks, I try and have a snack. And tonight's snack is brought to us by the way of brownies. Not the Colorado kind, okay? No, these are good, wholesome brownies. There's no green specks in them, none. And every now and then, they call my name, and I don't know which one's more neurotic, the brownie or the cat. Anyway. So, dated November 2nd, 1917. It says, I'm gonna read this to you. It says, "Dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you, on behalf of His Majesty's government, the following declaration of sympathy with Jewish Zionist aspirations, which has been submitted to and approved by the Cabinet. Quote, His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object, it being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country." Unquote. I should be grateful if you would bring this declaration to the knowledge of the Zionist Federation. Yours sincerely, Arthur James Balfour. Now, the reality of that letter and the fruits of the labor that went into it wasn't fully realized until much later, until 1948 with the official declaration of the State of Israel. So, what's the history behind this letter? Well, there's a stark contrast between this letter and another request that was being offered at the time, the McMahon-Hussein correspondence, which promised the Arab independence movement control of the Middle East territories, quote, in the limits and boundaries proposed by the Sharif of Mecca, in exchange for revolting against the Ottoman Empire. This was all in an attempt to get the upper hand in negotiating an end to World War I. But we've got to go back a little farther, back to about 1896, when Theodor Herzl published Der Judenstaat, making the case for a Jewish state being the only solution to the growing anti-Semitism in the area. Herzl, a year later, called for the establishment of a home for the Jewish people in Palestine, secured under public law. Well, Herzl died in 1904 without ever seeing his agenda unfold. Fast forward to 1906 when Chaim Weizmann and Balfour started negotiating where to call home for the Jews. Weizmann becomes a pretty important person. He was a chemist who developed the acetone butanol ethanol fermentation process, which produces acetone through bacterial fermentation. This was vital for the British war industry during World War I, because acetone was required for the production of cordite. Well, cordite is a propellant explosive that's needed to fire off the ammunition. And Germany, at the time, had the market pretty much cornered on calcium acetate, which was a major source of acetone. Well, now being a leading spokesman in Britain for calling the Jewish homeland to be in Palestine, Weizmann was becoming a huge asset to not only Britain, but for the Zionist movement. So in 1915, we have the McMahon-Hussein correspondence, which would ultimately lead to the Sykes-Picot Agreement in May of 1916. So here we have Hussein calling on the Arab population in Palestine to welcome the Jews as brethren and cooperate with them for the common welfare, all while this secret Sykes-Picot Agreement was happening. Well, it was negotiated by the French diplomat François-Georges Picot and Britain Sir Mark Sykes. This was to negotiate a sphere of influence for Russia in the Middle East should the Triple Entente succeed in defeating the Ottoman Empire, which effectively divided the Arab provinces of the empire outside of the Arabian Peninsula into the control or influence of the French and British. So the Sykes-Picot Agreement was not seen as good to the Arabs because it kind of negated the promises that were made to them, and it really put a thorn into the Western Arab relations. And some say it's the Sykes-Picot Agreement that has given rise to what we call ISIS today, but well, let's not get ahead of ourselves with that. All of this ultimately led to the Balfour Declaration, which was the letter that I read to you earlier, and it had great influence on post-war events because in 1919, with the Treaty of Versailles, Britain was they were entrusted with the temporary administration of Palestine, albeit with the understanding that it would work on behalf of both its Jewish and Arab inhabitants. Well, the Arabs were angered because they didn't receive the nationhood and self-government that they had been led to expect in return for participating in the war against Turkey. Obviously, Jewish population in the area dramatically increased. And in the wake of World War II and the horrific events of the Holocaust, there was great international support that led to the official declaration in 1948 of the State of Israel. So now there's a little debate on who actually authored the Balfour Declaration. One account says 4 or 5 men, including the Earl of Balfour, the late Sir Mark Sykes, and Messrs. Weizmann and Sokolov, with Lord Rothschild working in the background. And another account says that it was drafted by Alfred Lord Milner, who was part of the War Cabinet, and this was because the final draft had to be issued in the name of the Foreign Secretary, which at the time was Lord Balfour. Regardless of who actually authored it, on this day in history was in 1917, November 2nd, 1917, was the Balfour Declaration. Absolutely fascinating how much history unfolded because of that particular declaration and what they were seeking. And yeah, there were a few events that led up to it, but absolutely fascinating as to what really happened afterwards. So it kind of gives you an idea of why some in the Middle East, especially ISIS and Iran, are a little butthurt because the Jews finally got back what was theirs and what's been theirs the whole time. Fascinating story. I had such a good time researching that one. That one was a blast. But yes, it is that time. That was our signal for Who Said That. And if you are not familiar with Who Said That, it is a tiny little segment that we like to close the show out with. We like to highlight somebody completely stuck on stupid. And this week, he's a hardcore liberal. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Usually, I mean, the Who Said That segment is about a Republican, a Democrat, conservative, liberal, whoever it is, if you're someone that is so stuck on stupid, we're going to highlight it. And this week, oh my gosh. You know what? Just hear him out, and then I'm going to read to you a couple of his comments, because I apologize, I didn't have the full interview. This was an interview between this guy and the interviewer with The Atlantic.
Climate change is coming. Wow. That we need an energy miracle. Well, my basic message is let's be realistic. The government R&D budgets and private high-risk taking investments are a necessary part of doubling that speed. I'm a big believer in foreign aid, but the climate problem has to be solved in the rich countries. China and the US and Europe have to solve CO2 emission. And when they do, hopefully they'll make it cheap enough for everyone else.
Oh, good heavens. So here, if you don't recognize the voice, here's a little something else that he said. This was part of the transcript from the speech. And again, I apologize, I didn't have full audio of it, but I don't know that you'd be able to make it through much longer than 30-some seconds of listening to liberal BS. Again, this was from an interview that he had with The Atlantic, and he said, quote, "The push is the R&D and the pull is the carbon tax. Yes, the government will be somewhat inept, but the private sector is in general inept. Never mind how this guy has already pledged to commit $2 billion of his own money to help fight global warming." So, he was questioned on why the free market won't develop new forms of energy fast enough. He said, "Well, there's no fortune to be made. Even if you have a new energy source that costs the same as today's and emits no CO2, it will be uncertain compared with what's tried and true and already operating at unbelievable scale and has gotten through all the regulatory problems. Like, okay, what do you do with coal ash? And how do you guarantee something is safe? Without a substantial carbon tax, there's no incentive for innovators or plant buyers to switch." So here's my question. What is the optimal temperature for Earth? If we go by these ignoramuses like Bill Gates here on climate change, if we're so damn worried about bringing down the global temperature, the global average temperature on Earth by a couple of degrees, will we wind up making it too damn cold? And then will we have to reverse course and try and heat it back up a little bit? Because after all, we've got to make sure it's at least 67 in where we're going to debate this. I mean, we've got to be comfortable. Congratulations, Bill Gates. It just goes to show you are completely stuck on stupid. I think your brain needs a software upgrade. Look, this guy has so much damn money. He thinks he can buy anything. He's already pretty much bought off the education system in America with Common Core. Yes, that's right. He's dumped billions of his own dollars into Common Core. But now he wants to dump a couple more $1 billion into pushing the idea of a carbon tax and making sure we tax the crap out of people, just so we can try and figure out something else that works better than what we already have, that works pretty damn good. Oh, guy's completely stuck on stupid. And with that tonight, sorry, it's where we're going to have to leave it. I apologize, but yes, that is all the time we have for this week. And God willing, the Stafford Voice, your host, will be back next week. You can follow me on the Twitters at Stafford Voice. Look me up on Facebook by searching for, you guessed it, the Stafford Voice. Email your questions, comments, concerns, love me or hate me, I don't care, thestaffordvoice@gmail.com. Again, that is thestaffordvoice@gmail.com. Thank you so much for your time, and until next week, thanks and God bless.